Hello and welcome back into the Knicks-Verse. My name is George, and if this is your very first time here, or if you've been here before and you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. And turn on that notification bell and the thumbs ups and drop your comments. Love the comments. All right, well, officially the 2020, 21, and 22 NBA season has begun, as far as I'm concerned. Because we know basically who are going to be the main players on the Knicks roster next season, at least at the beginning of the season. We've seen the draft picks. We've watched them in Summer League. All our free agents are signed pretty much, except there's still a few tiny loose ends. And specifically, let's go to talk about one of them. Right here, Marc Berman today reported that the Knicks are open to extending beefed up Mitchell Robinson before the start of this season. All right. Hey, why not? Why not? This guy, here's the thing about Mitch is, if you guys remember, when he actually got injured last year, he was beginning to play his best basketball that he had played all season, maybe his whole career. He was starting to really put it together, and then he got the hand injury and then the foot injury back to back. Really put a damper on the whole situation, and we really could have used him. In my opinion, we really could have used him against the Hawks. He's in fact, I don't even recall. I don't think there are any other centers in the game that there's actually a highlight where he's laying on his back in the paint. He gets up and runs and blocks a three-point shot. Who else does that? His agility, his ability. He is the block nest monster. So we really missed him in the Atlanta series. And even though we did sign Nerlens for 3 years, $32 million, I believe, $33 million or whatever, and we brought back Taj, and then we drafted Jericho Sims. When you see the roster that I put together here, you'll see that Mitch is a key part of it. So signing him long-term to a 3 or 4 year contract, what are we thinking here? Let's say something like around, Berman put out 4 for $44 million, with the 4th year being a player option. That's a good deal. That's a good deal for the Knicks. Robert Williams signed with Boston for $54 million. So it's about $13.5 million per season. That's probably a little bit, you never know. Here's the thing. Mitch could get off to a great start. He could, be healthy all season, and then he could be commanding somewhere up north of like 16, 17, 18 million even. That's the danger. Here's the other danger. If we don't re-sign him, if we don't extend him now, then his value as a tradable asset drops, because the people who are going to be receiving him, the team is going to receive him, they only have him for the rest of the remainder of this season, and then he's he'll be a restricted free agent. So, but still, that's not the way it goes now in today's NBA. You want to be able to receive a player who you're going to be able to hold on to at least for 2 seasons. So in this situation, I think it makes sense for the Knicks to pursue this. But this video is really going to talk about, we're going to look at the entire Knicks offseason, and I'm going to give them a grade at the end. Give Leon and company and everybody, give it a grade about how they did this offseason. Which, they came into it with a lot of cap space. So there was, we were wondering, okay, what are they going to do? Are they going to go after some big free agents? But there really weren't that many big free agents other than CP3 and Kawhi, which they opted out and re-signed. So there went that. And, and then we had a bunch of our own free agents. What were we going to do? Were we going to bring Reggie Bullock back, Burks, Rose? What were we going to do? Were we going to sign Lonzo? There were a lot of things up in the air at the time, and we'll go through it, and you'll see how we ended up. It's not that difficult to see that we ended up with a very, very potent roster. When you look at it, look at Kemba here. Let's go a little bigger here. All right, so Kemba Kemba Walker is now our new point guard. Kemba Walker is going to be 31 years old. I put the ages here. I think it's the ages when the season begins, or at some point they may turn that age during the season. Kemba Walker, his true shooting percentage was 55.9%. Now, the league average is 57.2% for true shooting. So he's a little below that. But when you consider what we had with Elfrid Payton was a 47.8% true shooter. So this is almost 10% more. That's right there alone. If that's it, if that's all Leon had done, just brought him in, we'd be done. Our season would be infinitely better than it was last season. And then look who else we got. Evan Fournier. Now, Evan Fournier actually statistically is a bit of a drop from Reggie, because Reggie actually had a sensational season last season. Reggie's true shooting was 60.6. So as you see, Evan Fournier is 59.8. So, it's barely 1 percentage point. So that's not too bad. The field goal percentage, Evan Fournier was 56.5%, where Reggie's was 58.7%. Now the 3-point shooting, Fournier was a slight tick above, 41.3, and Reggie was 41%. But here's the big difference. Here's the big difference between these two. Here's the big difference between these two players. Evan Fournier only had 48% of his shots were 3-pointers, where Reggie, 70% of his shots were 3-pointers. So the mid-range game and the rim game was basically non-existent for Reggie, and we saw that. He's limited. He has a trouble creating shots for himself, creating shots for others. Very limited. Catch and shoot guy. That's pretty much was his whole meal ticket last season. And he was fed by Julius, mostly. They had a nice two-man thing going. But there's no reason that two-man thing cannot continue with Fournier. And, however, this time, the advantages are... All right, here we go. So, assisted 3-point shots. Fournier was assisted on 71% of all of his 3-point shots. That is good for an 88th percentile ranking in cleaning the glass. So the higher the number of the ranking, the better. Reggie, comparison, he was assisted on 98% of his 3-point shots for a ranking of 29. So that's it. That's the major difference. Offensively, shot creation. Evan Fournier can create shots for himself that Reggie could not. And that's going to add a versatility and a dimension to the offense that was lacking. Because, we saw RJ struggled a little bit with that himself. And then when Julius, when he went cold towards the end of the season, we saw there was really a dearth of shot creation on this team, except for, basically Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose really gave us some of that. Burks gave us some of that. RJ did as well. It's just not at the level that we needed him to. Here's the other thing. All shots assisted. 58% of all of Fournier's shots were assisted. That means 42% of the time he created for himself. Compare that to Reggie Bullock. Only 7% of the time did Reggie create a shot for himself. 93% of the time. 93% of the time his shots were assisted for a 3 ranking in cleaning the glass. Where compared to Evan Fournier, how do I want to call him Eric now? 80 ranking. So there it is. But the thing is, we've given up obviously something on the defensive end. Reggie was definitely a much better defender than Fournier is. However, it's not that drastic a difference. And we saw that towards the end of the season, Reggie could not, he wasn't able to help us with Trae Young. Trae Young pretty much cooked him. So, I think what we lose in defense, we more than make up for in offense. Much more. So that signing is a plus. So Elfrid Payton gone, Kemba in, major plus. 2 thumbs up for that. 2 thumbs up. Here, I'm like, Fournier, I give it another 2 thumbs ups, even though I was sad to see Reggie go. However, limited offensively, even though he was basically, tremendous shooter last season from the 3-point line. But you saw Fournier is very similar. Now we go to Julius Randle. Julius Randle, a year ago, we didn't know what he was going to be. But little did we know, he was in the lab working. Same with RJ. And look at those two came in. Those two came in and gave us a tremendous season, man. Julius, 56.7% true shooting, 51.6% field goal percentage, which is a little lower than the average. The average field goal percentage is 53.8%, but remember, he had his load was heavy. He ran the offense mostly, but his 3-point shooting, 41.1%. Beautiful. And look at RJ, 40.1%. The leap he made was we've already talked about it many times. And his field goal percentage was basically 50%, 49.9%. But his true shooting, 53.5%, which was a nice jump from the season before, which I believe, I don't have that stat in front of me, but it's somewhere like 47% is true. So his true shooting really climbed nicely. And then we have Obi Toppin filling out the forwards. Kevin Knox is still on the team, so we got to put him in. Taj is, for some reason, I know for us, he played center, but he's really considered a forward. And when we go back to the guards, filling out the potential roster, Derrick Rose will probably be the first person off the bench to sub in for Kemba, because I really believe those two are going to basically split the point guard minutes. But let's say they average around 20 to 24 minutes each. So they'll be about 4 to 8 minutes for someone else to play point, which would be nice. Alec Burks, as we know, he did play some point last season towards the end. He is back, and he'll be 30 years old. Rose will be 33 at the beginning of the season. Immanuel Quickley will be 22. Now, Immanuel Quickley. Let's talk about Immanuel Quickley. Immanuel Quickley, he experimented this summer league. He played point. And, there's a lot of debate whether he is a point guard or not a point guard. But you know what I saw? I saw a guy who is engaged and trying to become a versatile, like a true combo guard, where he really, if the Knicks need him to, he will run the offense, but he can also still be the marksman that we saw last season, where he averaged 39%, 3-point shooting. Nice. These are kind of small. I had to put in to jam everybody in. His true shooting was 55.7%, because his free throw shooting is really something sweet. He averaged, I think, about 4 to 1 assist to turnover ratio in the summer league. We love that. And then rounding out the guards, Miles McBride, Quentin Grimes, and Dwayne Bacon. Now, Luka is still a possibility to make it on the squad, but as you can see, there's 17 names on here, so they can only take 15. So 2 are going to have to go. And Jericho Sims is a 2-way. He's on a 2-way contract, so he probably will not start the season with the Knicks. And depending on what happens with Knox, it's still I have a feeling Knox is going to be on this team. They may bring him back for, who knows, like a $2 million exception or whatever's available. They might bring him back for that, because he has a talent. He can shoot. He has excellent size, and he'll bring a little bit more of that continuity again from last season to this season. Thibs definitely talked very glowingly about Knox's effort in practices. So you never know. He might actually return, which I would be. Let's put it this way: at the beginning of the summer, if you told me would Knox be back, I would have said no. Then I would have been surprised. But now, looking at the roster and the way it is, Amir Sims is the other forward. In Taj, Taj is really a center. So when Jericho goes to the G League and Sims goes to the G League, so we're really going to have 4 forwards, 3 centers, but Taj has that kind of back and forth ability. And Obi Toppin. He might see some time at the 5. I want that. I want that very, very badly. And I'll explain why. This is what has to happen. Obi Toppin and Immanuel Quickley have to be given serious looks. They have to get serious playtime. And the reason being, because if you look at the totality of what all the moves that Leon Rose has made this summer, the offseason, they are primed right now, set up for that disgruntled star midseason trade. I gotta tell you, it's not if it's going to happen. It's going to happen at some point. It may, whether it happens during the season, we'll see. Maybe it's next season. Next off season. But it's happening, and that's why these players have been signed to these good tradable contracts. Because before we had these free agents re-signed, what did we have to trade for Dame when the rumors were going back in June? We had RJ. That was it. Do we really want to trade RJ? That's why we need to play Obi. We need to showcase Obi. We need to showcase Immanuel Quickley, raise their value, show that they are true NBA guys with potential to be top level contributors. Now, whether they'll be stars or not, that's TBD. My opinion about Obi Toppin is destined to average 20 points per game in the NBA. I just don't see that if he gets the play time, I just don't see it not happening. It's going to happen. And I can actually say the same thing for Immanuel Quickley. Immanuel Quickley can average 20 plus points per game in the NBA. Now, whether it'll be an efficient 20 points or not, that's to be determined. But that's why he needs to be showcased. Because let's say we don't play them, okay? Which is very possible. And then February comes around, and Dame's annoyed. He wants out. He wants to come to the Knicks. We're going to have to give up RJ. That's it. Do we want that? Do we really want to give up RJ Barrett? Our highest draft pick since Patrick Ewing? No, we don't. RJ is part of the soul of this team. Same with Julius. We can't. I know the realities of it, but this is why I'm proposing that Obi and Quickley get featured enough, which they average between 15 and 20 minutes a game a night. So that when the time comes, if the disgruntled star asks for a trade, who knows? It could even be Donovan Mitchell, for all we know. Then we don't have to give up RJ. We can make a nice package with Obi, with Quickley, maybe Grimes. I haven't even talked about Miles McBride and Grimes and how they're going to contribute to the actual team this year. But I see Miles, I see Quinton, I even see Jericho when he comes back. I see those three having significant time. Not significant, let me put it this way. They will make significant contributions to the team in some form or another. There'll be nights where maybe, because Grimes is just, he's lethal. See, that's the other thing. Yes, we gave up Bullock, but we got Grimes back, and Grimes looks like he's going to be a player. He really, he does. And we know what Miles. Who loves Miles McBride more than me? Come on, maybe his parents. Miles, he's like the perfect prototypical Thibs point guard. So he's going to get time. This is what I see. This roster the season's not going to end with this roster the way it is. I just have a feeling this is how it's going to go. Oh man. So what does this all amount to? an A minus. A minus. I give Leon Rose an A minus for the offseason grade. And the only reason it's not a true A is because, Kemba, all right, Kemba's got bad knees. They should be honest with that. And Rose is, he's can't play, starter minutes. So we still have kind of some issues with point guard. We do. And, we didn't swing for the fences, which was fine. But when it came to the draft, even though as much as I love Quentin Grimes, I do, and Miles McBride, I think the Knicks should have been a little more aggressive to go after one of those four that we had talked about. Davion Mitchell, Duarte, Trey Murphy, and Kispert. One of those four should have been a little more aggressive. Those guys, they're gonna be some serious contributors in this league for a very long time. So we had a chance to get somebody like that. They asked too much, apparently. That's what Indiana did. I'm not sure what the Kings wanted, but obviously the cost was too high, so it didn't happen. But it would have been nice if they'd gotten a little creative. Just putting it out there. That's the only reason why it's not a solid A. A minus. A minus. Now, does all this add up to the Knicks doing enough to retain the 4th seed next season? Well, I think it is. I think there's a really big possibility that they hold on to that 4th seed. And I'll go in, I'm going to put out another video where I go in depth, as I've done before, my best and worst case scenario projections. Not sure I'll do the whole season. It's a little early right now, but I'll break it down, because what I do is I go through every single game and I analyze, what's going to happen, and whether it's a back-to-back, who's going to play, and all that stuff. And that's how I came up with my last year's prediction, where I nailed it. I called a 41-31. Now I revised. Originally I said 39 wins, and then about a month out before the season ended, I revised it to 41 wins. So we're going to come out with something like that. So stay tuned for that. And again, if you enjoyed this, thumbs ups, subscribe, drop your comments. I'm sure you guys got a lot of feelings about all of this and what we've done this off season, and whether we should extend Mitch before the season begins. I say we do. I say we should. Yes, we should. Definitely. All right. Well, thanks so much for watching this, and I will see you around the Knicks-Verse.